So we've just built two displays. So we have a dashboard display that gives us an overview of all our tanks, and then we've also built a tank details display. Well, those two displays are really great, but we need to have a way to interact between the displays. So let's look at some of the additional features that PiVision has. So let's start with creating a new display. So if I add a text box here, I can see that in addition to enter my text, I can use it as a navigation link. So here I could put the navigation link that I want, any displays. But what I can also do is if I have an asset, let's assume I have a graphic. Well, in this graphic, if I right click, I can also add a navigation link. So this is really useful because we can go between displays. So I can search for my displays, and then I can set it as the current context. So once we go through a couple demos and an exercise to link the two displays, this will make a lot more sense. But this is just a really quick way to be able to navigate between displays. And as we said, we can do the same thing for a text box. You could even have just a shape, like on a square or a circle or something like that, and then you can navigate easily. So let's go through our displays that we created. So if we look at our tank temperature dashboard, which is the overview display, if I move back to the modify display mode here, I will go ahead and modify my collection. So when clicking modify collection, you go back to when you first created the collection. So in this case, I'll use the graphic of the tank as the navigation link. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to search for the tank details display. So this will allow me that from the overview page, if I want to see more details on one of the tanks, I can simply click on the graphic and it will open the other display. So I'll link it to my tank details display. And this set asset context is really useful because when I click on mixing tank 1, it will open this display using mixing tank 1. So if I click on storage tank 1, it will open the display as storage tank 1. So let's save this and let's exit our modify mode. Okay, great. Now let's try it. Well, there we go. Now I'm able to be on the tank details. So if I go back on my display, and I modify the collection once more, let's look at a few more things that we can do with the hyperlink here. I can also add some other URL parameters. So if you go in your workbook, you can see that there's a variety of different parameters that you can use. So in my case, I'll put it in the mode kiosk, which is a read-only mode. So I'll exit the modify mode, and now let's try it again. Well, we can see that I've opened the tank details, but in a read-only mode, so I cannot edit this display right now. And this is just because the URL has changed. So now I'll invite you to do the next exercise, which is basically the same thing, but it is to link the tank details back to the overview page. And then feel free to add a lot of hyperlinks if you want to go to external resources or other displays that you may have created.